Welcome, media. We're joined by Devon Shore. Again, if you have questions, please use the raise hand function. We'll start with Bob Stauffer, 630 Ched.
Devon, is Todd Reynolds still your agent?
He is, yeah.
Okay. Look, you've come in, earned a spot, played in a lot of different roles, obviously. Have you, based on what happened this past summer, you want to parlay that into something more? Has there been any, do you take an assertive approach with that, or is that something sort of outside of the context about what you're worrying about on a day-to-day basis here during this run here with the Oilers?
Yeah, the second part for sure. I think we got 12 games left, so it's pretty easy to not worry about that at all. Every game's intense, and we want to make sure we're clicking going into the playoffs, so I don't think there's much time to worry about anything else.
Did you have an appreciation for the opportunity that's come here? I mean, obviously you've made the most of it, but they were true to their words when they brought you in on the PTO, weren't they? Yeah,
very grateful for the opportunity. It's a special league, and it's a privilege to do this for a job. So any opportunity you get, no matter how big or how small, you want to just go in and put in an effort where you can look in the mirror and say you did all you could.
Thank you.
Ryan Rashog, TSN.
Hey, Devon, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Sorry, can you hear me okay, Devon?
Yep, we got you.
Okay, thanks. Sorry about that. I just wanted to ask a couple questions about your captain, Devon. Maybe just the physical aspect of his game really kind of came to the forefront in that first period against Montreal. Like, teams want to play against him physical, but did he sort of show that, he's certainly not going to shy away from it, but was the aggressor at times, and what does that do for your bench when he does that?
It's inspiring for sure, and I mean, you can't say enough about his skill level, but I've had the privilege to train with him in the summers for probably 6-7 years now. So I know his mindset is just to continuously get better, and that means, yes, obviously with his skills, but he's looking for ways to improve off the ice and any things to add to his game. So I think if you ask him, it's obviously not number one to his game, but if he can bring that, he definitely doesn't shy away from it. But if he can find a way to still do his thing, even in those intense games, which he obviously showed he can, that's what he's looking to do. He's looking to just improve in any way he can.
The Canadiens had done a really good job shutting him down in the previous games. And then even through the first couple of periods, it seemed like it was a bit of a frustrating night for him. He was bobbling some pucks that he normally wouldn't. And then he does what he did in the third period. How impressive is it to see a player who's, clearly having a bit of a frustrating night turn it on a dime like that in one period?
It was crazy. Yeah, that was great. I think he produces so much that when, if he goes 2 periods without a point, you probably think he's they're shutting him down or he's frustrated. But that just speaks to how good he is. I think he's doing special stuff every shift with the puck, and if it doesn't result in a point, then people think they're shutting him down. But I mean, from our standpoint, he's creating out there all the time, and it's he just trusts his game, and whether it's in the first period or the third, you just trust that it'll come to fruition eventually.
Thank you.
Jim Matheson, Post Media.
Devon, you've scored 3 of your 5 goals against the Canadiens. Is that just happenstance, or does over a season, does one player somehow keep scoring against the team and you just keep the ball rolling?
I think it's happenstance. I mean, you can. It's definitely good to take the positives if you want to go into a game thinking that, then sure. But I think it's just happenstance. Yeah.
And when you were young, why did you not want to play in the Ontario Hockey League? Why did you go play college?
I was a late bloomer physically, so I wasn't really thinking too much about the NHL draft. You're thinking about hopefully being a pro when you're 21, 22. So I just thought it extended the window to get bigger and stronger. And if in the junior league, if you're not ready by 19, 20, I mean, it's not impossible, but it closes the window a little bit. Where if you go to college, gets you maybe an extra couple of years, and sign as you see guys all the time sign as a free agent after a good college career. So that was kind of my thought process.
Good. Thank you.
Rob Tychkowski, Post Media.
Players are always trying to find and forge chemistry on their line. There's been a lot of shuffling going on, and especially in the bottom six. As a player, what's the challenge in trying to quickly, from time to time, adjust to new line mates and try to forge that chemistry?
I think each individual, you can't change too much how you play regardless of who your line combinations are. I think each guy has certain things that they have to do to be successful, and if they're doing that, I think odds are it'll come together. But you talk before the game. As the season goes along, you build relationships with these guys, so that helps with chemistry, and you just try to play the right way and be predictable for your teammates.
Is there a certain type of player that you mesh best with? Is it somebody who plays like you, or somebody who offers a bit of a contrast?
I've never really thought about it, to be honest. As a player, you're so focused on the job that you have to do each night, and then so you talk with your line mates before the game. But I haven't never really thought about what complements me best. You just try to do the little things and do whatever it takes on a given night.
Thank you.
Tony Brower, Oilers TV.
Hey, Devin. Sorry, I've been cutting in and out with my Zoom today. Have you been asked about Nugent Hopkins yet?
Not yet, no.
Okay, so obviously the way you guys have been playing the last couple of days, it's been a complete and connected effort. If he joins in the lineup with that possibility tonight, what could that do for your club?
Well, he just does so many things well. Like he has world-class skill, but he's in the right spots all the time. He's great defensively, and he's a huge part of our forward group, obviously. So it can only help us, and you watch the way he plays. He helps on the power play and the PK. It's awesome to have a guy that can contribute and help your team win in so many different ways.
And talking about those last couple of games, what's been the energy level around the group? Because it seems like you guys have almost kind of leveled up a little bit after facing some adversity with some schedule changes in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, we had some time off to get some good practice in, and I think it's just the timing and the schedule with down the stretch. We talk as a group about wanting to make sure you elevate before playoffs so you can really hit the ground running. So that's something we're trying to do. The last couple of games it's been good, but still a ton of hockey to be played. So it's if one night goes well, you learn from it and put it behind you, because then you gotta do it all over again. You can't sit back. You gotta do it all over again each night.
Mark Spector, Sportsnet.
So, Devin, when you see players like McDavid and Draisaitl, your top, obviously your best guys, and they're fighting through what Montreal has been throwing at them, hooking and holding and getting hit a lot, and we saw Draisaitl, kind of feed Anderson the stick a little bit on that one hit. What's the reaction from when you're watching from your spot? What does that do for you? What's your reaction when you watch your star players play that way?
It's great. It shows that everyone's pulling the rope regardless of their role on the team. It makes it more fun when the temperature gets turned up in a game. Those are the games you enjoy being a part of, and yeah, there are leaders. Obviously, there are offensive leaders, but they're two of the leaders of our team. So, and they're fierce competitors. So, it's stuff you can't really force. It's when the temperature gets turned up in a game, they want to win really bad, and so does everyone else on our bench, and that's kind of the byproduct of that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no more questions, this concludes Devon Shore's media availability. Please stay tuned for Darnell Nurse. TSN.
Hey, Darnell. We'll talk lots about hockey in a couple of minutes, but I just wanted to start by asking you what emotions you felt yesterday when the verdict came out of the United States that Chauvin had been found guilty on all three counts. Sort of what emotions you felt and what your thoughts were.
Yeah, I think obviously sitting down watching the TV, there was a sense of relief that he was found guilty on all three counts. I think that was a good step in the right direction, and there's still a ton of work to be done, with regards to systematic racism, with regards to equality throughout the world. And I think we all sat and watched during a lot of downtime and saw a man get murdered in the video, and to see that the jury saw it that way, and the way the prosecution fought for everyone, really, as a person of color, as a black man, there was definitely a sense of relief to see that he was found guilty. With that said, though, it's just a step, and there's still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, and to follow up, that's kind of my next question. I mean, the NHL releases a statement, lots of organizations, including your own, release statements, and everybody has the best of intentions here, but what would you like to see as kind of a practical application of those intentions? What day-to-day can change or be adjusted so that, those things become more of a reality as opposed to intentions?
Yeah, I know, like, for myself, it's kind of been a question I've tried to tackle myself and see how I can help. I mean, when you look around the world, I think just equal representation. I think, you look in workplaces around the world. I feel like if you're the times of being a candidate and being qualified to be in the position or a role, no matter where it is within business, within sports, I think it's come to a point where skin color and the look of someone needs to become obsolete, and it needs to become to the point where we're all treated on an equal playing field. So that's, for me, I think that's one of the first steps. Something that is much easier said than done. But like I said, yesterday was a step in the right direction, and it can't be a sense of contentment. It's now we just need to continue to push forward.
Thanks, Darnell.
Rob Tchaikovsky, Post Media.
I don't know. That was well said. Looking around at the teams in the North, their home records and away records often are the same or even better on the road. I'm just wondering, is it as important this year to get home ice advantage in the playoffs as it normally is, or without fans, is it a much less of a hammer?
I think if there's different ways to look at it. If you have home ice advantage, you get to start at home. You get to be in your comfortable environment, not in the hotel room, and kind of get set for the big challenge ahead. So I mean, there's without the fan impact. I mean, we talk about it a little bit. I mean, the fans in Edmonton, especially. I remember a few years back when we hit that playoff run. I mean, that's one of the best atmospheres I've ever been a part of. So that's going to be missed heavily. So for us, I think there's other elements that go into it to have home ice advantage. Like I said, just maybe spending a little more time at home and in a familiar environment. But I mean, when it's all said and done, it's a pretty even playing field for everyone when there's no fans in the building and you're just showing up and playing.
I was wondering if you're sitting there in mid-game in Winnipeg or Montreal or Toronto, does it even really matter where you are? Do you get there's no real way to get any sort of a boost?
Mid-game, I think it's actually been mid-game. You don't really notice whether there's fans or not. I mean, you look at the game even a night or two ago. We were playing Montreal. It was a heated game. There's a lot of emotion, a lot of fire. It was physical, and there's no fans. The no fan factor, I don't think, played much into it for us. We were just out there playing, so that's, like I said, that'd be the one difference. You can kind of feed off the emotion when, like I said, when you're in your home building and you got Zach Cassidy running around and the fans are going nuts. But yeah, we won't have that this year, obviously.
Thanks.
Mark Spector, Sportsnet.
The kind of game you guys had against Montreal the other night, and the way they play you, lots of obstruction and hooking and holding, and they're not afraid to run Connor and run Leon. Are those important games for you guys to play? And is it important, watching how your team reacted to that and your stars reacted to that? Does that tell us something about your team?
Yeah, we're here to play for each other. I think it's pretty evident. These are definitely games that you want to play in, especially coming into the playoffs, because there's, that's the type of emotion, the type of fire, how hard you want to check. That's what you want to bring at each and every night, and that's what you have to bring each and every night to be successful in the playoffs. So having the opportunity to play in these games, I think there's going to be more and more of these games as we come down to the final games here. And that's exciting as players. You get geared up for those kind of games.
And as a player who, in your career, you've been asked, or you've not been asked, but you've taken on the role of protecting stars sometimes. Is it nice to see your two stars protect themselves? Like Connor's throwing his own hits and Leon's putting his own stick up. Is that a good sign for your team?
Yeah, those guys are competitive. Like each and every night, every team that they come out and play against, there's so many little interference and holds and getting hit a little bit late. Like they deal with it each and every night. So at some point, you're going to want to fight back, and that's what they're doing. They're standing up for themselves, and for us as a team, we can continue to do it to the other team too. So yeah, it just shows like they have a real want to win. Like it doesn't matter how much they get held or hit a little late. Like they just want to win, and that it shows the competitiveness every time you see them do that.
Thank you.
Jim Matheson, Post Media.
And Darnell, you were talking about the competitiveness of the last game. Normally, you would see that sort of game against Calgary, which is a provincial rival and a rival. Montreal, is that just the style of game they played? I mean, that was an edgy type game, or was it just they're trying to get into the playoffs and they beat you? They had beat you, 4 to 5 games.
I mean, I think it's probably a combination of everything, and we've played each other quite a bit. They got a good, strong team. That they play hard. Like that's every time you play Montreal, they're going to come out checking hard. They're going to come out, playing with a lot of intensity. So for us, you got to come and answer the bell if you want to win, and that adds to the element of the game. So they're fighting for a playoff spot and fighting to stay in it, and I think for us, we got 12 games left, and we can't get comfortable at all in the situation that we're in. So we got to come with that same exact mindset and fighting for everything that we can get on a nightly basis.
And going back and playing with Ethan Bear, is that like riding a bicycle? Once you've done it, as you did most of last year, is it just, yeah, okay, I don't have to learn anything new about Ethan. I've already played pretty much a whole year with him. Yeah,
we played a year together. We played a part of the start of the season together. So he's a good player and fun to play with. And hopefully we can continue to build off of what we had at the end of the last game. And I think we could be a really good pair, especially when things get heavy. So I'm looking forward to it.
Ryan Rashad.
Darnell, excuse me, just on McDavid's third period, like Montreal had played him real tight all year long. He hadn't generated a ton against them, and then he comes out and does what he did in the third period. How impressive is it for a guy to do that against a team that's played him as tight as they did?
Yeah, he's a gamer, man. He comes out and competes each and every night, and that's, you can only hold him down for so long. He's gonna find a way to break a game open, and that's what he did. I think that's why he's the best player in the world. He comes out and he's got that motivation, that fire each and every night that he wants to make that impact. And we needed to get back in the game in the third period there, and he's a leader. He came down and led the way. So it's fun to see. It's always it's always great when you see, the guys that are leading the ship, really take a hold of it.
Tony Brouwer, Oilers TV.
Hey, Darnell, we don't have any confirmation that Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is going to be in the lineup tonight or not, but if he is, what kind of leader is Ryan Nugent-Hopkins?
Yeah, Nuge is one of those quiet, doesn't say much, shows up to the rink every day and does everything the right way. I think one of those leaders that just leads by example. When he does speak, everyone listens because he's just got such a good grasp of the game, good grasp of the room, good grasp of each and every guy. So he's a huge leader, huge part of this team, and whenever we get him back, we'll be really excited to have him back.
Thanks, Darnell.
No problem.
Thank you. If there are no more questions, this concludes Darnell Nurse's media availability. Please stay tuned for Dave Tippett. Again, if you have questions, please use the raise hand function. Start with Reed Wilkins, 6:30 Chad.
I'll just start with the quick one. Will we see Ryan Nugent-Hopkins in the game tonight?
Yeah, it looks like it. I haven't talked to him since he got off the ice here, but he was feeling good this morning, so looks like he's a go.
All right. And, look, Dave, what do you expect after the physicality and intensity on Monday night? Is that going to be the mentality right from the opening face-off again, do you think?
I think you could say that about every game the rest of the year. It's playoff mindset. Every team's in it. We're in it. They're in it. So it's going to be, both teams are going to be competing hard.
Jim Matheson, Post Media.
If Nugent Hopkins is back, that means you got to juggle your centers. Do you have any idea who would be coming out if Nugent Hopkins plays?
No.
Okay, well, I figured I'd ask. And Kulikov was on the ice this morning.
Yeah.
Does that mean you'll be ready to, practice and with the full cast of players?
Yeah.
Tomorrow? Okay.
Yeah, he'll skate on his own tomorrow because we have a scheduled mandatory day off tomorrow. But then he'll have the 3 days to practice with us before we leave for Winnipeg on Sunday. And so I would guess he'll be available for Monday if we want him.
Ryan Rashog, TSN.
Dave, I know you didn't love your team's start the other night. What would you like to see early on from them that was maybe missing in that game that they eventually got around to?
Better execution with the puck under pressure.
And I guess with McDavid and the physical stuff that they threw at him the other night, it seemed like he really pushed back quite a bit. He was physical as well. Do you find that the bench notices that and they see their skill guys engaging in that kind of stuff that can elevate a bench as well?
that's everybody. That's playoff hockey. That's your whole team has to engage in how you're going to play, and Connor's no different. He was a real good player, both with the puck and without the puck the other night, and teams are going to be physical on him. He's going to physically battle back. So that's where his game's at. His game's really strong.
Rob Duchkowski, Post Media.
Coach, there's been a lot of shuffling, obviously, because of the taxi squads and the way the schedule has worked during the regular season. When you get into the playoffs, are you going to want to hold true to 4 relatively stable lines the whole way through?
Well, a lot depends on how you're doing. Matchups, there's injury factor. There's a lot of factors that come into play on that. So we'll continue to see where we're at as we we go down the home stretch here and see if we get real comfortable with some lines and like them, then we'll stay with them. But if there's always injuries and tinkering you want to do to try to gain advantages or take what you think are soft spots away. So that's a work in progress all the time.
All right. Down the stretch here, all these teams are playing for home ice advantage in the first round. But you look at the home and away records. There's very little difference. In some cases, the road records are even better. What's home ice worth with no fans in the building?
Well, first and foremost, I think there's less advantage with home and away right now with the no fans. But for us, it's about getting our game. We want to play the same kind of game whether we're home or on the road, and it's a playoff mindset game where you got to compete hard. You're doing little things right. Your structure's in good spots. So we're going to work. It's less about us trying to get home ice. It's more about working on our game and make sure our game is in place where you can go into the playoffs or earn a playoff spot and then go in there and play well in there. So that's our focus, less about positioning. We feel like if we play the way we can, our positioning will take care of itself.
Jason Gregor, TSN 1260.
Dave, your team's done a good job of getting power play opportunities in the 6 games against Montreal with 4 per game, but you only got 2 goals. Your shots per 60, I don't know how close you look at all that stuff, but what do you feel you're not doing against Montreal? Because your power plays had success against everybody else much more. Specifically, what are you not doing or countering what their penalty kills?
I think every game I've watched, a bunch of the early games. Every game has been a little bit different and the different chances we got. I didn't think we shot the puck as much as we should have last game with people going to the net. So there's different factors that come into play, especially when you're playing back-to-back or 3 games in a row against. You got to be try to tweak a few things as you go along to stay ahead of them, and I'm sure they're doing their due diligence to try to take it away. So there's factors that come into play, but ultimately you got to find ways to get pucks to the net and make sure you're creative around that net because they're not going to give you anything simple.
And you've coached for a long time, Dave. When you have players coming back off of injuries, and I know everyone's different, but a guy like Nuge who can play wing or center, is there a ease-in factor? Like, do you consider, maybe there's less responsibility, I'll just play him on the wing tonight? Does that ever come into your mindset?
No, not really right now. We're too deep into the season. He's played all year, and he's a smart enough player. He's going to, wherever he plays, I expect him to come back right at the same pace. So it's, if it was a longer term injury, maybe, but he hasn't been out that long. He's anxious to get playing, and he's such a smart player. He'll deal with it wherever he ends up.
Tony Brouwer, Oilers TV.
Good morning, Dave.
Morning.
You've been around the game for a very, very long time. And
you guys are making me sound old here, all of you two.
With that, you've seen a lot of different leadership styles. What kind of leadership style does Ryan Nugent-Hopkins have?
I would say quiet leader, very respected from his teammates. Very intelligent guy. There's a lot that he's got lots to offer about, what he, how we want to play. So he's a real solid pro. Obviously been around the league a long time and just very well respected from his teammates, and his voice matters in our room.
And being around Ryan Nugent-Hopkins for the last couple of years, a word that's used to describe his game is cerebral. Is that the best way to describe his game?
I guess you could say that. I would say his game is very intelligent. You know, he touches a lot of parts of the game because of that intelligence, whether power play, penalty kill. You know, you can put him out there defending a lead. He's out there trying to chase a lead. He touches a lot of parts of the game.
Your Matheson, Post Media.
Dave, did you know that Devon Shore was going to be as valuable to your team when you had him in training camp?
You know, I talked to a lot of people before we signed him, and kind of got a feel for where he was. His best days were down in Dallas, and they thought he was a real efficient player down there, and kind of in the role that we have him, jumped around from center to wing, but was able to fill a lot of spots. So, you know, you never know how he's going to fit in with your team, but he's come in and done a nice job for us.
And I guess we forget that he did get traded for Andrew Cogliano, who's played a long time in the NHL, and Dallas traded for him. So Cogliano's got a fair bit of stature in this league, so getting traded for Cogliano must mean that Devon Shore got some game too.
Well, no, he was been a good player in this league for a long time. So he got caught in that little bit of a shuffle, got traded a couple times, and then this year with, you know, the way that things were going in the summer, there was a lot of, you know, unknowns. So he ended up coming in a tryout, and I give him full credit. He's earned a spot on our team.
Good, thank you.
Thank you. If there are no more questions, this concludes Dave Tippett's media availability.